My autistic sister has always come first to my parents, and the one time I asked for something they went back on their word. Then they broke the news that I can't go to college, as they want me to be my sister's caregiver full-time. My parents had my sister, 19F, and I, 17F, and although she is older she has low-functioning autism, so I am more mature than her. She has always taken up most of my parents' time, and although I understand why, it has always hurt being only an afterthought. I never minded getting hand-me-downs or whatever, as I know my family is tight on money, but I never got to experience much growing up. I couldn't go on sleepovers unless my sister was invited, even if they were my own friends. My parents said if I went on my own, my sister would feel bad and jealous, so it wasn't fair to her. But no one was prepared to take care of her. I had friends come over to my place for a bit, but whenever they were over my parents would send me to do chores, and force them to hang out with my sister instead. There was an incident where my sister yanked one of my friends' hair out, and everyone has refused to come over since. I also wasn't allowed to join clubs as they needed me home right after school to care for my sister every day. A few months ago my parents mentioned how proud they had been of me for being such a good sport, and promised they would do something special for me to celebrate. My parents have always been good at complimenting me for my help, which always made me feel like I was doing the right thing. Recently my friend mentioned her parents were going to drive her up to a nearby college, and they said she could invite 4 friends to tag along as they were taking the minivan. Her parents were willing to pay for most of it, but needed at least $100 for food and gas from each kid going, as we would have to spend 2 nights in a hotel as well. I really wanted to go as I had been having trouble deciding where to go for college, and every time I brought college up to my parents they sort of shrugged it off. I thought someplace nearby might make them happier, so I brought it up to my parents, mentioning they told me they were willing to do something special, and I asked if this could be it. I could tell they were a bit disappointed when they told me they thought it would be a family thing. I reminded them it was supposed to be for me. Eventually they agreed and said they'd send the money to the parents when they could. 2 weeks before the trip, my parents told my friend's parents that they couldn't afford to send them the money, and it might even be until next year that they could send it. My friend's parents said they were sorry, but I couldn't come as they needed the extra money to afford to take me as well. My mom snapped at them, calling them selfish and greedy for asking for money. They argued, and now my friend is angry at me because my parents insulted hers. When my parents told me all this, I asked why they didn't have the money, as they had plenty of time to save. They said they had the money, but my sister needed a new expensive fidget toy that had been recommended to them by her doctor, saying it would help her calm down, so they spent the money on that. I got really hurt as I really wanted this trip, but they told me to suck it up and grow up. That's when they sat me down and said that it wouldn't matter if I went on the trip or not, as they decided I wouldn't be going to college. I was confused and asked why. They said that my sister is too much work for them alone, and they needed me at home more than I needed to further my education. They said maybe one day I could go, but not now. I asked if I could at least do online school, and they said it would be a waste of money and I would be too busy since they wanted me to get a job as well once I graduate high school, to help them out with the bills. I couldn't believe anything they were saying. It felt like I was being caged in, and they already decided I would be the caretaker for my sister for the rest of my life. I didn't want that, and I told them as much. They told me I would understand eventually, and I need to step up more now that I am an adult. About a week later they asked me to watch my sister so they could go on a date night, and after